Okay, so we're going to work through a real life example of something I had to build as an administrator, and I want to share it with you because you may run into this one day, or it may just be a really cool feature that you could share with the people that you work with, the users at your company or your business. And I'm also going to try to teach you compact layouts and formula fields along the way. So you'll see how it all fits in context and not separated out and broken down and simplified. I want to put it all together for you and make a awesome business process idea and show you something really cool that I learned a long time ago. So let's start. Okay, so we're looking at Mr. Andy Young as a contact. And if I was a sales rep, I would want to know, should I call, text, or email this person, or are they trying to avoid contact, or maybe they just want more privacy for the email, for example? Well, that was the case here, where the sales rep asked me as an administrator, can you put some icons here or anywhere on the screen that would help me not have to scroll down so often and be tedious on the screen here? Because we have a lot of information here, we just don't want to lose any of it. But I want to know, should I call this person just at a glance, right? And that's why we're going to talk about formula fields and compact layouts and how we can make that happen. So the idea was, can we put a green, a red phone icon or something like that, and maybe different variations based on what's checked off on these boxes? Well, that's where the formula field solution comes into play. So the next thing I'm going to show you is static resources. Static resources is where I'm going to save the pictures or the icons that I want to put up there on the screen. You could do this with like the logo for your company or the logo for your favorite team or anything that could technically fit in that screen area. So I'm showing you these because these are like an example of what not to do. I put too many of these in here, it gets too complicated, too crowded, and it's just one picture per static resource. One thing that you can do that works better would be to say, put a whole folder or a file, a zip file of all the icons. So this one is the one I built. Let me show you how to build one just as a duplicate here. I'm going to hit new and the screen's not loading. So 1 second. Let's refresh that. And I'm going to say, I'm just going to call it regular icons. I'm going to choose a file. You can see all the pictures here, but I put them all in a zip folder and boom, hit save. Okay, so continuing on, we're looking at Andy Young, and we want to take that static resource image where it's saved, and we want to be able to display it on the screen. So I'm going to need to build something that can show up at the top of this record, this contact record. The best strategy for this right now, without using code or without using any other advanced programmatic concepts, is to go into a formula field and put it onto the contact object. So that's what we're going to do right now. This is going to be a little bit more advanced than what you're probably used to, but let's go through it anyways, and at least you'll see an idea in context of what's really happening when people are building or when you're asked to build something on a contact record or really any other object. I'm in fields and relationships, and I've already created this formula. If I wanted to create a formula, I would go to new. I would go to formula. Remember, it's read only. So it's really just going to express whatever you define in the formula criteria or the formula field logic, and then hit next. You can choose what type of formula to build. I'm going to be using a text field, but what's going to happen is I'm going to display it and it'll show an image because I'm pulling it from a static resource of an image based on specific criteria. And so if I wanted to name it, originally I named it communications preferences. You could name it anything you want. But guess what? I already built this field so we could speed up this video and focus on the actual heart of the lesson here, which is what is the logic and the formula that would help me to display these images from the static resources and display it on the screen. So on the screen now, you can see the formula. It looks complex. There's a lot of info. There's probably a way to simplify this, but for me, and perhaps for whoever might take my role in the future, I would hope that they'd be able to read this and understand it quickly. Perhaps they could improve on it with a different iteration. But for now, let's go in and edit it and take a look. So I was trying to display a formula return type of text. I built an advanced formula. I have an enhanced formula editor that's like a Chrome extension. You could add that yourself. Originally, this probably won't be on your screen, but if you look, I'll explain a little bit of this logic and how this works. So we got the three fields: do not call, do not email, and do not text. I have my operators here, the and or ampersand symbol. And the idea is I'm saying if this is true, this is false, and this is false, comma, then that's an invisible then, but that's how I think about it, and hopefully it helps you. Then this image should display, and it should be called do not call. And the size should be 80 by 120. You don't even have to put the image sizing dimensions on here, but I use that because I wanted it to fit better on the screen, and you're going to see it on the screen in just a moment. So then I put another comma. So in a lot of ways, we're building this logic tree because I'm not ending it with just one if statement. I'm continuing multiple if statements because there are multiple permutations. Each permutation was already built out with these pictures. Might just be a red phone symbol or a red email symbol, or two different symbols are red and one is green, or all are red or all are green, which you can see at the bottom here. Let's say everything is true. Do not call, do not email, do not text. All true, then everything should be red when it displays. Then built out the formula. I'm not going to go into every detail of how the formula proper syntax, but you could always click check syntax and make sure, and it'll start to give you hints and ideas of how to correct your syntax. Perhaps you forgot a parentheses or a comma, or you misspelled anything on here. If you misspell even a single thing in these image files for the static resource of contact icons, it's not going to display correctly. And another thing I wanted to mention was contact icons as a static resource was a zip file. That does help me because I don't have to type anything different. I just say contact icons, and then I just have to type in some various image names with some hopefully good descriptions that if anybody wanted to read this, they could figure it out pretty quick. I don't need to save it. It's already been saved. I didn't edit anything, but I already have it on the contact here. Let's take a look. Communication preferences, formula, text. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the contact record. As you can see, it's not here yet, but what I'm going to do is work on a compact layout. And we're going to put that up here on the screen. And then we'll test it out. Okay, so now we're going to add a compact layout to the contact record page so that we can display the formula field, which will in turn display the images that we saved in the static resource file, which is ultimately the end goal of this task and this lesson. So I'm going to go to the contact here. Let's see. This one right here on the side, if you're in the object manager, you can go to compact layouts. Now I created a contact layout already. If I just hit new, I could create any of these, and then I can assign it. And instead of perhaps the system default, I could use contact layout compact as the primary, and I could edit it, maybe go back to default. You can really control which one displays and which one doesn't primarily. What's important is to know what's on the layout. What do I want to display on the layout? And the real question is, what do compact layouts do? In a lot of ways, it controls the fields that the user can see in the highlights panel at the top of a record. It also controls what shows up in the expanded lookup card when you're hovering over a link in the record details. And also in the details section if you expand activities or looking at the activity timeline. The idea when you're going through Salesforce Administrator exam or the Platform App Builder exam is the fact that compact layouts help make the team faster, more productive. They can see more information at a glance on their mobile app. That's another big question that's related to this is being able to say sales users want to be able to see something faster in the mobile app when they're outside the office and talking to a client and they want to make a sale but they need the info. What do you recommend? Compact layouts. So that's my exam advice right there. And on the more practical side, let's take a look. This is the field we built earlier with the formula. And look, you can add almost any type of field that's related to the contact record on the contact object. So that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and add this. I want to clarify that in object records highlights areas on the mobile app, you can show up to 10 fields. So that's even more valuable than if you're looking at the desktop page where you could only show up to 7, the first 7 that you listed here. So you could list up to 10, but it'll only show 7. And it could also be just the first 4 fields in the mobile app when it's like an expanded lookup card on a related information page. So we're going to take a look at what happens if I hit save. And I've added the formula field to the contact layout. And the layout is not showing yet because I need to refresh. Okay. And boom, there it is. My communication preferences image and another flow that I had built in a different video lesson connects to this. So if you ever want to see that lesson, it's going to be listed down below and will be easy to access. This lesson will be more advanced building out a screen flow. But let's do that just for fun here. I'm a sales user. Mr. Young does not want me to call him anymore. I'm going to click this. This is the screen flow. I'm going to update and finish. And you're going to see what happens. Boom. Turned red, didn't it? Let's go to the detail page. Check the block. Notice it turned red. Let's do another one. Let's do both of these just to make sure it all works. There we go. So that's just one image though. That was the all red image that was saved in the static resource file. And because the contact record met the criteria of these checkboxes are all true, then display this image. I could even customize it. Let's say if I could go back and edit it here, you'll see it turn green. Now the formula field is also showing this to be you can call or actually you can text this person or you cannot email this or call this person. So ultimately this is the example, this is the solution that I came up with when working on a team as a Salesforce administrator. It really did help the sales reps. It helped everyone that was trying to speed up their communication process. And so hopefully it helps you one day when you become a Salesforce administrator, or if you're already working as one. This would be a really cool feature to add to your contact record for your sales teams or your marketing teams or whoever needs to know this type of information at a glance at the top of the screen. So please keep following along. The next lessons are going to be even more valuable and more interesting, and I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you.